Hello, my name is Taylor Christensen, and this is my Space Invasion program. So I wrote it using Python language with the Arcade framework, and I have two files, one player.py and aliens.py, and they import the class player and enemies respectively. So here's the player class. Has in it, it's the player ship 1 blue. Starts in the center of the screen, and then on the bottom 50 pixels up, and then it has 1 health, and then here's how it kind of sets the bullet list for when you start firing, which we'll get to that later. And here's the enemy class. We got the big boss HP is 5, and then the sprites for the big boss, and it starts up at the top of the screen in the center, but it'll move back and forth as we get on. And then here's all the enemies starting locations and the coordination for all the slime blocks, and then here's where it puts the enemies on the screen using that draw. We'll go back to our main. We got the screen information with the title, and then the player and enemy movements speed, and then the bullet speed for both player and enemies, as well as the borders for the enemy to go back and forth. And here's all the sounds for the game. And then here's the game when you're actually playing it. The background color is black. I play some music for having a space theme. And then here's where we kind of set up the movements and set the player and as well as the enemies to start moving. Ooh. I don't know why that did that. And then here's where we set enemies and the player, just to kind of set them up, and then the draw will actually place them where they need to go and things. So, and we also have the right here shows the player health as well as the boss's health, but the boss's health will only show once all the other enemies are gone off the screen. Otherwise it'll have infinite health. And then this on update updates each frame, so whether the bullets are hitting something or firing a bullet, each frame it'll play through these functions and do what it needs to do. And the boss won't fire until all enemies are off the screen, so there's that as well. And then here's where we have the boss move from left to right, back and forth, and then enemies, same thing, they'll move as the function to make the enemies move left and right. And this is where we have the player move left and right if you use the arrow key, or A and D to move it left and right respectively. And then to fire bullets you push space, and you can only have a max of three bullets on the screen at a time. Once it goes off the top of the screen, it'll minus that number back, then you can fire more bullets. And you can push escape to close the window, and then you can hold down the left and right keys to keep it moving left to right of the screen. And then this is where we process the player bullets, so we check to see if it hits with a enemy or the boss, and if it hits an enemy, because the enemies only have 1 HP, it just takes them out. And if all the enemies are gone, then it'll start, each bullet will minus 1 from the boss's hit points. This is where it checks for if it hits an enemy or not. And if the bullet goes off the screen, obviously it takes that out too. And then this is where if no enemies are on the screen anymore, including the big boss, then it will say you win and take you to the function where the you win screen is. There we go. And this is where I process enemy bullets, where if it hits me, then it shows the game over screen. So very similar to the process player bullets, just instead of being my bullets hitting them, it's that your bullets hitting me. And then this is how I got the enemies to fire, and as time goes on, the enemies fire faster, and once there's only 4 or less, or 5 or less enemies on the screen, then it will start firing very rapidly. And then the enemies also have a sound for when they fire. And then once if the enemy list is 0, then the boss will start to fire bullets. So it won't fire until all the enemies that are off the screen. And then this is how I created the bullets for them to fire at me. And then boss's bullets, same thing. And when you get a game over, it comes to this class, and then shows black, and then it says game over, and then click or press enter to restart, or you can mouse click to start it again, and then you can press enter to play again. And then kind of similar, if you win, then you can play it again, but instead of saying game over, it says you win, and different color text, but same thing, enter or mouse click to continue. And this is the kind of main function to get it running. So let's do that now. So it kind of starts quick. So you've got the music playing. If you get hit, game over, with an explosion sound when you get hit, and then you can fire bullets, and as you hit the enemies, they go away. It makes a sound if you hit the enemies. And because the boss has infinite health right now, if you hit him, it just has like an air type of sound. It's a little bit lag. So now that all the enemies are gone, the big boss will start to fire. And there we go. So that's my game. And thank you for watching.